Friends, in today's lesson, each of you will decide which space you will work with. It could be your own room, apartment, or house. Or maybe someone will want to work with me on a one-room apartment, which I will use as an example to sequentially show how to create an interior design project. We will determine the layout and show the arrangement of the furniture. For now, we're not inventing anything, just showing. We are depicting the current situation, showing things as they are. Hello, my dears. Now we are going to draw a plan of our own space. Why do I say space? Because each of you will have your own. I will be drawing a one-room apartment, but you can select your own room, your own apartment, or perhaps it could be a shop, an office, or any other space that you might want to do. And we will start drawing with the general outlines. My apartment will fit into a square. And I am drawing the outline of this space. An outline is a silhouette. Everyone's can be different. And we start by drawing the exterior walls. Exterior walls are often thick, and also because these walls can be load-bearing. So we draw them at first. Everyone draws the thick walls. Their own space, in my case, it will be a one-room apartment with several rooms. Right now, I am drawing the loggia. Here I will have the entrance door to the apartment. As they say, the door opening. Where we have a door opening, you don't need to draw the wall there. You can just erase it like this. Once we've drawn the exterior walls and determined the proportions of our space, we can move on to the partitions and details. Because when we draw something, we always go from general shapes to specifics to details. So we don't get confused. First, we draw the large shapes and then the details. Right now, we're sketching the current situation by eye, approximately. Here I'm marking out the partitions for now. You can sketch them lightly like this. And once you make sure that they're carefully and properly drawn in exactly the right place, you can show their thickness. Door openings on the balcony or in the bathroom, they're narrower than the main entrance opening. Why do I say opening? Because at first, they really are just openings, window openings. Now I'm drawing a window opening or a door opening. To turn a window opening into an actual window, we'll show, let's say, a glass unit inside it. The glass itself, schematically, it's drawn like this. For example, right here, I'll have a window, and over here, a door, which leads to the balcony. So here we can erase the wall we've drawn, and instead draw a door in its place. A door is drawn like this. We show which way it opens. You can show it like this with thickness, and with a line like this, we indicate the path of its movement, a thin one. And here we have the entrance door. Again, we show the door leaf, which way it opens, and the movement of the door. Like this. For now, we're drawing with a pencil so we can erase if needed. I'm using an apartment as an example to show you. More different rooms. There will be a kitchen and a bathroom here. Here there will also be a balcony, a sleeping area, and a workspace. And you can decide for yourself what will be on your plan and how much detail you want to include. You can follow along with me. Now let's draw the furniture. Here I have the kitchen, and I'll sketch out the fridge and the sink, the kitchen counter. I'll put the fridge here. Here will be the stove, the counter, and the sink. And of course, in architectural graphics, this is done schematically. This is the sink, this is the counter, this is the stove. This is the fridge. Here I'll have the bathroom. And in the bathroom, there's a ventilation shaft. That's what it's called. These are utilities which, of course, are necessary. In every house, they're marked in a certain way. I'll show the bathtub. There are also specific ways to depict it. Here I'll put the toilet. Here's the sink. For now, I'm just showing what's there. But later, in the next lessons, we'll start drawing what we'd like to have. That is, improving, imagining, and thinking about how we'd want our space to look. And that's when you can really get creative. Here in the kitchen, I'll have a round table. See, this is where our ability to draw circles, which we practiced during the graphic warm-up, comes in handy. And we'll put chairs around the table. But I see that my circle is a bit deflated, so I'll add a little side to it and inflate my imaginary balloon just a bit more. Now let's place the chairs carefully around the table. To start, we'll just make rectangles to represent the chairs. Of course, chairs can be different as well. They can also be round. And you can, for example, draw backs on the chairs. Here I have a bed. I'm drawing it schematically, and I want to point out that when I draw furniture, I draw it at a distance from the wall. Well, look, when we put, for example, a bed against the wall, there's always a gap. It's small, but it's there, and that's why we draw it that way. In architectural graphics, there are certain symbols that help us, when looking at our plan, understand what is drawn here. And look, in this case, I can turn the sheet around so it's clearer for you. Here, I'll draw a pillow. You can draw a pillow like this. Draw it with these uneven outlines, which is typically the case with soft objects. And we'll draw a blanket. And you can go ahead and fold the corners of the blanket. Here are nightstands on each side. And also, you see, they are drawn separately. They don't sit flush against the wall, but are drawn at a distance. We drew nightstands on both sides of the bed. Now I'm returning the plan to its original position. And we continue to fill our room with furniture. Here I have a little sofa like this, a fold-out one. So what you draw might not appear visually appealing to you, and that's completely normal. So we can simply erase it and redraw it with some adjustments. That's why at first, when you draw, you shouldn't press too hard with the pencil, so it's easy to make corrections to your drawing later. There's a desk here. Again, I want to point out that we're drawing with a small gap. We also illustrate this small gap in the diagram, making sure to clearly show this little difference. Here I'm going to have a computer monitor, which you can use for work, or if you want, you can watch movies on it while lying on the sofa. Here you can draw some details. Here's the keyboard. And I know that many people love to draw. There are lots of details on the desk, and I always find it very interesting to look at your work afterwards. My job is to show you schematically how to draw all this, and then you can use your imagination and add lots of your own details. And here is the chair that's next to the desk. You can draw it in different ways. You can push it under the desk, or you can draw it next to the desk. Right now, I'll draw this version, which might be a little more complicated, because you can always simplify it later. I'll draw the chair turned sideways. It often happens that when we stand up, the chair turns a little. And look, we always start with simple shapes. I'll just draw a square for the seat, which goes a bit under the desk. Then I'll draw the backrest here. Some details. Everyone might have their own computer chair, armrests. And the chair is on wheels, so I'll draw some wheels here that might be visible. If we look from above, since a floor plan is essentially a top view of a room or space, we also draw the furniture as if we're looking at it from above, just like we would see it in real life from that perspective. And here, in this particular example, there will also be a wardrobe included in the layout. And in architectural graphics, a wardrobe is shown like this. We sketch the hangers schematically. At different distances from each other, just like they usually are in a wardrobe. And it's immediately clear to us that this is a wardrobe for clothes. That's all, my dears. In the next lesson, we'll show the textures of the materials, outline, and add color to our plan.